Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to day 68 of our F225 hot lap and track guides. Yes, we return to the iconic Spa-Francorchamps this weekend for of course the longest venue on the F2 calendar. Obviously if you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago from Silverstone, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But yeah, if you're new around here and you don't know what this series is all about, I provide you with a race-ready F2 setup inside F125. I talk you around the circuit, what gears you want to be using, where your braking points should be, any kind of other useful nuggets of information that I can provide, and then last but not least, I leave you with a hot lap. Of course, timestamps as always will be linked down in the description below if you just want to head to a certain part of this video. A massive thank you to everybody for their continued support. We are getting very, very close to 15,000 subscribers, so if you're new or you just haven't already, please do make sure you hit that sub button as well. It is the best way to support us here, as I do provide all of these setups, of course, for free, and they will always remain free for as long as I do them. But yeah, anyway, let's head out onto the circuit then, and I'll talk you guys around a lap here of Spa-Francorchamps. Well, making our way then out onto this Belgian Grand Prix circuit through the bus stop chicane. You want second gear, and you obviously want to try and give yourself the straightest possible run out of that final corner. Cycle up the gears, you're going to be in 5th by the time you get down in towards turn 1, but you want to be eyeing up the 100-meter board. Get the car over to the left-hand side, and then you're going to be on the anchors just as you get to this marker point. I would say if you're struggling with it, try just to brake a little bit early. You're going to be bringing the car all the way down to second gear, but you're just very, very careful that you don't lock up the brakes there. Try to just clip the La Source curb on the inside there, and then get on the throttle with one nice smooth motion on the exit. Don't run too wide over that outside curb before you carry the throttle down in towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Of course, just like a Formula 1 car, Eau Rouge completely flat out, and Raidillon as well at the top of the corner. You don't have to worry about it. 6th gear on the way through. Attack the curbs quite nicely, both through the entrance and the exit of the corner. And then, of course, you are still going to be flat out up the Kemmel Straight. Of course, if it is raining, though, which, let's be fair, it's Spa, it's fairly likely it will be, you will want to leave the car in 5th gear up through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. You should therefore be able to get the weight over the front and be able to kind of still take it nearly flat out. Up at the top of the hill, though, you want to brake about 80 meters out from 6th gear. You want to bring the car down into 3rd. Really try to attack the inside curbs through the first parts of the Le Combe chicane. Don't allow the car to run too wide through the exit. Leave it in 3rd gear until you get past this apex curb on the inside. What I would say, of course, if you've got the car nice and tidy up to this curbing, just as you go past this kind of green part right on the middle point of the corner, that is when you can go from 3rd gear up to 4th to hopefully carry the speed off of the exit there. Be careful though that you don't run too wide. You want to get the outside wheels over that curb, but if you get too far over, you'll A, get gravel on your tyres, and B, you can actually invalidate the lap quite easily as well through the top on the exit of Le Combe. Plunging down though in towards Malmedy. Up next, of course, 4th gear like I said on the way in. Brake just at the start of that curbing on the outside line and bring the car down to 2nd gear. The F2 machine will really try to understeer through here, so I would say just hold your wheel basically at a 90-degree angle. The fronts won't scrub too badly, you won't go straight on or anything, but you just, really do have to crank the lock on to get the car to rotate through here. And then as you get nice and tidy on the exit, once more, you want to go up through 3rd gear. Then in race trim, no name, I would say leave the car in 3rd gear all the way down, use the engine brake, and you should be able to keep the balance in the car. In qualifying trim though, if you're very confident, you can actually take it in 4th. Just be very careful that you don't take too much of this apex curb. The yellow and red kind of changeable parts of this inside curb are fine, but this longer red bit is actually a sausage curb. So obviously if you just hit a wheel through the edge of it or something like that, you can really throw the back end of the car round, or you can bounce off towards the outside wall as well. So yeah, like I said, 3rd gear in qualifying trim, 3rd gear in race trim, You could be brave, though, and try and take it in 4th gear in qualifying if you're feeling confident there. Allow the car to run nicely wide on the exit as we make our way down in towards P1 then. 5th gear on the way in, you want to just nudge the brake past the 50-meter board, just tap the brake slightly, come off the throttle, allow the car to rotate in, but get on the loud pedal as early as you possibly can through the exit of the corner as well there. Don't allow the car to run too wide though through the exit, as you want to bring it back over to the left-hand side once again. Braking just past the 50 right at the start of this curb once more. From 5th gear, you're going to go down to 3rd and really try to chuck the car in. Hug the apex, but don't go over the inside curb, otherwise you'll just create instability at the rear, and do the same through the second part as well. And again, then try and get on the loud pedal nice and early. Again though, braking just at the start of this curb on the outside, a small nudge of the brake down to 3rd gear once again, and once more as soon as you get past the apex, that is when you want to be getting on the loud pedal. Don't run wide in the gravel on the exit, and then the exit of Savalo even is completely flat out as we climb back up the hill in towards the final few corners then. Of course, Blanchimont, completely flat out, very, very easy flat out in these cars. You basically just want to be taking the line of least resistance and mentally preparing yourself for the bus stop chicane. Of course, I've spoke about it before a lot, just how brutal big heavy braking zones can be in these cars. Braking just before the 100-meter board. From 6th gear, you want to bring it all the way down to 2nd. Be careful that you don't obviously lock up the rears once again. Try to attack a lot through the first curb, but avoid the second one in all honesty. Get on the loud pedal nice and smoothly on the exit, and then it is a short run back towards the start-finish line. And there we go. That is going to be a lap here of Spa-Francorchamps. Again, I would say this is a great track for kind of learning some of the weird nuances to driving the Formula 2 cars inside this game. But let's head back to the pit lane though, and I'll talk you through the setup. Well, having a look then at our global leaderboard, just over a second off the current world record time, but fair play to them. They've got 1/4 of a second over anybody else there. 74th though in the world. I don't think that's too bad going with these cars at the moment. Setup figures though, of course, Spa, you want to run very, very little aero around this track. So I would say 4 on the front wing, 1 on the rear. Again, as I spoke about before, front wing completely dictates downforce through the corners. Rear wing basically dictates straight line speed, but you don't kind of want them too far apart. Otherwise, you will end up creating a lot of instability. And especially when you run really low rear wing, that instability can be easier to find. So you don't want to run much front wing at all. And again, you know, this track, there is a lot of flat out sections. So you obviously want to have as much speed as you possibly can if you want to make overtakes. 95-50 though on the on and off throttle diff. Again, there are a couple of tricky braking zones here. Weirdly, it's obviously turn 1, the final corner. But I also found quite a lot of struggle through like the Lacombe chicane and things like that. Just as you're kind of trying to balance the car. So you want the off throttle diff to be slightly more locked than we would normally see, just to allow that car a bit of stability as well. Completely minimum camber and toe angles though. I say that every single time we do one of these videos. Before very, very interesting suspension setup. 1923 here. It's because of Eau Rouge that you don't really want to run a completely firm front suspension, otherwise you just kind of find yourself losing straight line speed. Obviously, where the front really tries to dig into the road, and obviously you can create quite a lot of friction and resistance. 5.3 though for your anti-roll bars, again very, very low, and then 20.46 for your ride height. Because obviously you're running much softer front suspension and much lower ride height, much lower anti-roll bars, you can afford to run lower ride height as well, because it doesn't punish the car too badly. 55-100 for your brake bias and pressure. Again, just run the standard that you like running on the game, that you feel most comfortable with. And then last but not least, 26 front PSI, 26.5 on the rear. Again, where there are a few traction zones around this track, you have got to be a little bit careful with tyre temps in race trim. But again, the F2 cars aren't really that badly affected by it. So obviously, the firmer you run the tyres, obviously the less resistance you've got in the road. And of course, around these high-speed tracks, that can gain you, you know, at least kind of 3/10 a lap. If obviously you're running, you know, best case scenario versus worst case scenario, and you think you scale that out over even a 15-lap race, that is immediately near enough 5 seconds here at Spa, and that can make a big difference when you're trying to stay in the DRS strains. There we are though. I hope this video has helped you out. If it has, as always, like I mentioned in the intro, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We will be back very soon. I believe we head to the Hungaroring next. Of course, a very, very different track here to the one at Spa. But yeah, thank you all as always so much for watching, and we'll be back very soon with more F2 setups. But for now, I'm going to leave you guys with a hot lap.